Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 2 of May-June 2008 of O-Level Math. Now, of course, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have what? A flagpole is a cylinder of length 15 meters and diameter of 14 centimeters. Okay, so these are the dimensions of the flagpole. Now, we understand it is of the shape of a cylinder. So what is the shape of a cylinder? Let's try to draw this. It will be something like this, right? It will be flagpole, something like this. So the height, the length will be 15. So this is 15 meters. And the radius will be 14 centimeters. This is given to you by the question. Now, we have to find the volume of the flagpole, and we have to give your answer in terms of cubic meters. Now, obviously, we do realize that the radius, or the diameter here, sorry, my bad, the diameter is in terms of centimeters. So we have to change that. What is the radius? The radius will be half of the diameter. That should be 7 centimeters. But we have to work with meters here. So let's change that to meters. So we understand that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So 7 centimeters will be what? We have to divide by 100. That should be 0.07 meters. But of course, you can always use your calculator to check if that is actually correct. It is correct. So we have to work with meters, 0.07 meters. This will be the radius. So let's correct this. The diameter here is 14, but the radius here will be 0.07. So how do you find the volume of a cylinder? Pretty easy. Volume, we have to know this formula. It is pi r square h. So pi is pi, we don't know. I mean, we know it's a constant. R square will be 0.07 square, and the height is 15 meters. Let's see, what would that give you? 0.07 square times 15 times pi. That will be 0.231 meters cube. That will be correct to 3SF when your answer is not exact. That will be part A of your question. Now for part 2, let's see what do we have. The flagpole represented by TP. So here we have TP. That's the flagpole in the diagram below. Okay, is hinged at the point P. Okay, it's hinged at the point P. Okay, what else do we need to know? It is raised by using 2 ropes. Each rope is fastened to the top of the flagpole. As you can see here, it's the top of the flagpole, and here it seems we have those 2 rods. The ropes are held at point A and point B. Okay, now the points A, P, B, T are in a vertical plane with A, P, and B on the horizontal plane. So A, P, and B, they are flat on the ground. This is what is given to us here. And the points, they are vertical plane. I understand. So basically, the diagram really helps us here to understand what's happening. We just have to use this to find the following answers. So the main point is that we're given a few information here about the diagram. We have A, B, and they're connected to the top. And here we have this length, this length, and this length. So basically, using the diagram that we have, you find the following answers. So when ATP is 90, so here we have 90, we have to find TPA. So where's TPA? TPA will be this one. So again, it's pretty easy. As we can see, we have triangle TPA is a right angle triangle. So we can use SOHCAHTOA to find the value of this angle. So this is the A side, this is the H side, so we have to use cos. Cos of the angle, let's call this angle P, have to be the A side, that will be 15, over the H side. Okay, so P have to be cos inverse of 15 over 23. Let's see, what does that give you? So here we have to use degrees. 15 divided by 23, cos inverse, that will be 49.3. That will be correct to 1 decimal place for the value of the angle right here. Now what else? When the angle TBP, so TBP is 37, we have to find the angle BPT. So BPT, so find this one. So how would you find the value of this angle? So pretty easy. It seems that we have to use something else. So if you observe the triangle TPB, we know this angle, we know this side, we know this angle, we know this side, but we can find this angle first. I hope that makes sense. Because we don't know this side, we cannot find this angle directly. But however, if you know this side, you can find this angle first. Let's call this angle alpha. Let's first find the value of alpha. So pretty easy. You can find alpha by using your sine rule. So you would say we have 15 over corresponding, that will be sine of 37 have to equal to, that will be 12 corresponding, that should be sine alpha. So I have to make this become subject, so sine alpha will be what? 12 times sine of 37 divided by 15. Let's see, what do we have? Sine inverse of that should give you alpha will be the value of 28.8 degrees. Now, if you know this one, obviously this is not the answer yet, right? We can find this one, correct, because we know the sum of all the angles in the triangle will be 180. So finally this one will be 180 minus 28.8 and then minus 37 should give you the value of this one. That will be 114.2 degrees. So angle BPT will be 114.2 degrees for part 2 of your question. Now let's move on. So when the flagpole is vertical, as you can see here, it is vertical, calculate the angle of elevation of the top from it. So we have to find this angle. So pretty easy, because we have a right angle triangle TPA. So we can use SOHCAHTOA to find the value of this angle. So let's do that. This is my opposite side. This is my A side, so I have to use tan. So tan of the angle A have to be the opposite side over the A side. So A will be tan inverse of that. That will be 33.1. Correct to 1 decimal place. And that is your angle of elevation of the top from A. Okay, and that will be question number 1. So let's move on to question number 2. So part A, Ant's digital camera stores its images on a memory card. Okay, so fair enough, we take pictures and the pictures go to my memory card. Okay, now the memory card has 28 units of storage. That is the amount or the units that it can store. Fair enough. Now, when 50 images are stored, there are 40 units of unused storage. So that is something we have to be careful of. So when we have 50 pictures, the amount unused is 40. So if that makes sense, unused is 40. So what can we derive? So what is the used amount? Aha, so pretty easy. That will be 128 minus unused. You will have the used amount. That will be 88. So we understand that when you put 50 image, right, the amount used will be 88 units. So that's something we were able to derive from that first information. Now let's move on. Part 1, we have to find the percentage of unused storage on the memory card. So pretty easy. Percentage, we know unused is 40 over initial amount was 128 times 100 for the percentage. So 40 divided by 128 times 100. That will be 31.25%. That is only 1 mark, pretty easy, right? Now part 2, we have to find the average amount of storage space used by each image. So pretty easy. That will be, how do you find this? You have to first find the amount used, which is 88 units, divide by the number of image to find the average amount used by each image. That will be 1.76 units per image. That will be the amount used by each image, average amount used. Okay, so what else? So again, the formula for this is pretty easy. Average is equal to total amount used divided by the number of units. Number of image in this case, number of image. Let me write image so you guys are not confused. So that's how you find the average amount. Okay, now for part B, a shop A charged 60 cents for each photograph. Okay, that's the cost. What is 60 cents? It is $0.60. Now, shop B charges 63 cents, which is $0.63 for each photograph, and give a discount of $1 on all purchases more than $10. Fair enough. Now, part 1, we have Anne bought 24 photographs. That is how much she bought from shop A and paid with a $20 note. So find the amount of change she received. So pretty easy. Step by step, let's see how much she spent. So 24 photographs multiplied by the cost of each of them, that will be times this will be what? 24 times 0.6, that will be 14.40. Now, if she pays with a 20, we have to minus the cost to find the amount of remaining of exchange. That will be 5.60. So that will be the amount that she will receive back as change. 560. Again, when you deal with money, it's always preferred if you would write correctly 2 decimal places. Just as an advice, if you guys have to do questions in regards with money. Now for part 2, we have to find how much cheaper it was to buy 24 photographs from shop B than from shop A. Okay, so let's see. So we already know that from shop A she spent $14.40. That's the first thing we know, that she spent from shop A. Let's see how much she would spend at shop B. So step by step, we know that at shop B she would pay $0.63 for each. So 0.63 times 24 photographs. How much would that be? 0.63 times 24, that will be 15.12. Now we also know that she will be receiving a discount of $1 for more than $10. So minus 1, that should be 14.12. Now it means that she spent $14.40 in shop A and $14.12 in shop B. So how much cheaper? So we just have to find the difference, right? So $14.40 minus 14.12, that should be $0.28. That is part 2 of your question. Now for part 3, we have to find the smallest number of photographs for which it was cheaper to use shop B. So let's see. So what is the smallest number of photographs for which it will be cheaper to use shop B? So from what we can see, it is cheaper to use shop B when we don't benefit from the $1 discount from shop. This is what is the smallest number of photograph? Okay, so shop B. My bad. I thought it was shop A. So it is always going to be cheaper to buy from shop B when you benefit from the $1 discount that they give you. So at least when you spend more than $10. That's the main idea behind this. Now, what can we do is we can let N be the number of photographs. Now we understand that the cost structure for shop B will be usually 0.63 times the number of photographs. It needs to be more than $10. If that makes sense. Only then you will benefit from the $1 discount. So let's do this. Find the value of N. That will be 10 divided by 0.63. That will be 15.87, which means N have to be at least more than 15.87. What is the next integer after this? So N have to be 16. I hope this makes sense, right? Because here, from what we understand, it would always be cheaper, not always, but it will be cheaper in this case to buy from shop B whenever we benefit from the $1 discount, right? And we understand that to benefit from this $1 discount, we have to buy more than $10. So first, let's assume the number of photograph we are buying will be N. We don't know the exact amount first. Let's call it N. Now we know each one will cost 63. So 63 cents times N. It has to be more than $10 for you to benefit from the discount. So let's assume this first. So it shows that N have to be at least more than this, which means N have to be 16, so that you will benefit from the $1 discount, and hence it will be cheaper for you to buy from this. So part 3, N have to be 16. So I just hope this makes sense. Again, you can go back step by step and think about this for yourself to think if that makes sense or not. Okay, I hope that was not too much, and that will be your question, part 3 of number 2. Now we can move on to question number 3. So on average, Jim's heart beats 75 times per minute. So 75 times per minute. Okay. Now part 1, we have to find the number of times that his heart beats during 50 weeks. Okay. Give your answer in standard form. So one by one, let's see. It's not very hard. It just it's kind of tricky, I would say. So 50 weeks. How many days do we have in 50 weeks? So 50 times 7. Okay. Now 50 times 7. That will be 350 days in that we're trying to find. Now, how many hours do we have in a day? 350 times. So we have 350 days times 24 hours. Because we have 24 hours in a day. So 350 times 24. That will be 8,400 hours. So here we can try to help ourselves. So we know that in 1 minute, it will beat 75 times. How many times it will beat in 60 minutes, which is 1 hour? That will be 75 times 60. That will be 4,500. But now we are trying to find how many times it will beat in this many hours. So 1 hour is this much. So this many hours will be, we have to take this times 8,400. That will be 37 and then 8,000,000. So that should be 3.78 times 10 power. So count, that will be 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. That will be your answer in standard form as required by the question. Okay, again, that was done step by step to trying to find that answer. Now for part B, after exercise, Ali and Ben measured their heart rates. The ratio of the heart rates was 15 to 17. Okay, Ben's heart, so this is the ratio. Let me write this down. Here we have Ali against Ben. So that was 15 to 17. Now, Ben's heart beat 18 times per minute more than Ali's. So the difference among them was 18 times more per minute. So if you can kind of look at the difference here, we can see 17 minus 15 is a difference, so we understand that 2, how do I get 2? 17 minus 15 is 2. 2 units mean 18 beat times per minute. Now what is 1? Obviously, by doing ratio, 1 will be 9. So 9 beats per minute will be equal to 1. Now the question is to find Ali's heart rate. Now we can see Ali is 15. So we use the ratio, obviously. That's the logic behind this question, using ratio. So we can see 1 represents 9. Ali's ratio is 15. So 15 will be how much? Will be 9 times 15. 15 times 9, that should be 135 beats per minute. That will be the answer for Ali's heart rate. Now for part C, here we have the recommended maximum heart rate H. That's the maximum. H for a man during exercise is given by the following formula. Okay, where N is the years, is the age of the man. Okay, good. Now part 1, we have to find the value of H when N is 25. So just replace back in your equation. So H will be what? 4 over 5 times 220 minus 25. So 220 minus 25 times 4 over 5, that should be 156. That is pretty easy. That will be part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find the value of N when H is 144. So again, replace back in your equation to see how can you find the value of N. That will be 4 over 5, that should be 220 minus N. So 144 times N divided by 4, that should be 180. So again, I'm just trying to cross multiply here to make this one become subject. So let's try that again, because I don't want to confuse you guys. Let's do it step by step, because I know that those who watches the video are here for help, right? So here I have 144. That should be 4 over 5 and 220 minus N. Again, the main goal here is to find this value of N, because that's what you want to find. So the first thing we can do is we can try to send this here, cross multiply, and send this to the bottom. So you will have 144 times 5 over 4, and this will become 220 minus N. So 144 times 5 divided by 4, that should be 180. So 180 will be 220 minus N. So N will be simply 220 minus 180, that should be 40. Okay, so 40 here will be your value of N for part 2. Now finally for part 3, we have to make N become the subject of the formula. So pretty easy again, always proceed step by step. At first we have H is equal to 4 over 5 times 220 minus N. First thing first, we can cross multiply, send this here, and we can send this here. That will be 5H over 4 have to be 220 minus N. Now, I can send this over here. You will have 5H over 4. Now, when it is positive here, when I send this to the other side, it becomes negative. 220 have to be minus N. But now I need N to be the subject, so I have to multiply everyone by minus 1. That should be N now have to be 220 minus 5 over 4H. And that will be your answer for part 3 of the question, to make N become the subject of formula. And that is your question number 3. Now let's move on to question number 4. Part A, we have to show that each interior angle of a regular octagon is 135 degrees. Now, something we have to know here is, what does it mean to be regular and what is this kind of shape? So here we have to understand that the octagon has 8 sides. And regular means all the sides are equal, which means all the angles will be equal as well. Now to find the value of the angle, we have to know the formula, which is, it is number of sides n minus 2 times 180 will give you the sum of all the interior angles. Then divide by the number of sides will give you the one of the interior angles. So let's just replace back in this formula to find the value of the angle. So show that will be n minus 2. 8 minus 2 will be 6 times 180 divided by n, which is 8. That should be what? Let's find out. 6 times 180 divided by 8, that should be 135, shown as required. Okay, now let's move on to part B of your question. So part B, we have in the diagram AB, BC, CE, and D are 4 sides of a regular octagon. As you can see, this is derived again. We have to use this for this question. So basically this is half of the octagon. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So which means the interior angle here have to be same at the value of 135 degrees. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Now we also have the sides FA, FB, FC, and FE are the same. Obviously, if you were to join F and D, it will be the same as well. Okay, so we also have F, so CF, this straight line, meets B at the point G. This is the point of intersection. Okay, so let's move on to the questions. So first thing first, we have to find the angles. So first, what is the angle X? So by observation, we understand that because it is a regular octagon, this side have to be the same as this, also same as this. Now, if you were to take out the triangle CDE, we have what? We have an isosceles triangle. If this is X, this also will be X because these two sides are the same. So we know that if you take X plus 135 and plus X, it will give you 180 because the sum of the angles in the triangle will always add up to 180. So 2X will be what? 180 minus 135, that should be 45. So finally X will be the value of divided by 2, that will be 22.5 degrees. Your first answer here will be 22.5 degrees. Now let's move on. We have to find the value of Y. So where's Y? Y is right here. Okay. Now, as we have seen, this whole thing here is 135. Now, because we understand AE is the cross section of the shape, however, AF and FE are the same size, which means F is the midpoint of AE, exactly in between. And obviously, because it is a regular octagon, which means all the sides are the same, we can kind of understand that right above F we will have C, so this line will have to be a vertical line. So this is at 90 degrees. This is using a symmetry, understanding that we have how many lines of symmetry we may have for this shape. As you can see, we have one line here of symmetry, so obviously this and this are the same, and this will have to be 90. So something we have found here is that if this is vertically, right, if this is a vertical line and these two are of the same length, you can see they are symmetric to each other, right? And which means this angle will be exactly half and half. Okay, so this will be same as this one. Now, if this whole thing is 135, half of this will be how much? Divide by 2, that should be 67.5. This also will be 67.5. So let's find this out. So if you take Y plus X, that will be 67.5. The value of Y will be 67.5 minus X. X will be 22.5. Let's see what happens. That will be 45. So Y will be 45 degrees. So now let's move on to part C. We have to find the angle Z. So Z will be well. So let's have a look. Z will be right here. Okay. So now how would you find this? Pretty easy as well. Because we know this is 67.5. This also will have to be 67.5 because these two sides are the same. Now obviously 67.5 plus 67.5 and plus the angle Z will have to give you 180 because that is the sum of the angles in a triangle. Now Z can be easily found to be 0.5 times 2, that should be 45. So Z will be the value of 45 degrees. That is part C of your question, 45 degrees. Now find the value of T. So T will be right here. So again, pretty easy. This is 67.5 because the whole thing is 135. We understand that these two are the same, so this obviously will be 67.5 as well. So the value of T will be 67.5 for your angle T. That is part 1 of your question. Now let's move on to part 2. So we have to write down the special name for the quad BCEF. Now where's BCEF? BCEF, as you can see, you have to be a trapezium. You can do this by elimination. All the shapes you know, which one looks like this? Trapezium. If you need convincing, you can see this angle here, these two angles they add up to 180. So one more proof, they must be a trapezium. So let's write this down here. That will be a trapezium for part 2 of your question. Now for part 3, we are given that the side FC is 10. We have to find CE. So in this case, let's take out the triangle. So we have this whole thing, FC. We have to find the side of C. So here we can take this out. This is C, this is F, and this is E. That will be 10. Because this and this are equal, this also will be 10. And we also found out this was 90, as we have seen before, because we understand of the properties of symmetric properties of this shape. That's why we conclude this will be 90. This is exactly in between, and we know C is also exactly right up F. Because of that, it will be 90. Now, we can find this by using the Pythagoras theorem. Obviously, CE square will have to be 10 square plus 10 square, that will be 200. So CE is equal to root of 200. Of course, you can simplify, that should become root of 200, that will be 14.1, correct to 3SF. That will be your length of CE for part 3 of your question. Now let's move on to part 4. Part A, we have to show the triangle CGE is similar to triangle FGB. So CGB, FGB. So one way to show the triangles are similar, we just have to show all the corresponding angles are the same. So pretty easy. Let me write this down. Because as you can see, they meet, these two angles have to be equal. So we can write this down. Angle G, so BGF, same as angle CG, because they are vertically opposite to each other. That's one of the properties we have to know, and we have seen this many times in circle problems. So because they are vertically opposite, it will be the same value. Also, we have seen here the angle Y and Z, so Y is equal to Z. They are the same, which is 45, right? We have found this here. Now obviously, since two angles are the same, we also realize the third angle will also have to be the same, which is FBG is equal to angle CEG, because it is the third angle of the triangle. So finally, you will just write by AAA, which is we have shown all the corresponding angles are equal. We can conclude they are similar. I think that will be your answer for part 4 of your question A. Now for part B, we have to find the ratio of the area. So obviously we have to use similarity. So why did we find this? We have to use this for this one. Now, pretty easy. It is only 1 mark, so obviously it will not be very tough. So how would you find the area, or the ratio of area? So as we have seen many times before, we can first start by finding the ratio of their corresponding side. That's the first step we can do to help us find corresponding sides. Sides, not area. So here we have triangle CGE, triangle FGB. So for the first triangle CGE, we know the length of this side, right? We have found it was root of 200. So let's write this down, this side. Now we're comparing sides. Side C was found to be root of 200. Now what is the corresponding side of this in this triangle? So obviously this is opposite this angle, so this will be opposite of this angle, so it will be this side. This is side BF. So what is the length of BF? So by observation, we have been given that the side of FA, FB, CFC, FE, so this side, this are the same, which is 10. So that will be 10. So we can simplify. So what is root of 200? It is 2 times 100 root. That should be root of 2 times root of 100. That will be simply 10 root 2. So 10 root 2 to 10. Now we can divide by 10 on both sides. This will cancel out, obviously. You have root 2 to 1. But now this is the ratio of their sides. How do you find the ratio of the area? We have to square both sides, because the unit of area is square and the unit of length is just centimeter. To convert this to this, we have to square it. That's why we have to square both sides. You have 2 here, and that will become 1. So the ratio of the areas, simply on top we have area this, that should be 2 over 1, and that will be 2 as your answer. And that is part B of your question number 4. So let's move on to question number 5, part A. Mary has 50 counters. Some of the counters are square and the remainder are round. So 50 counters, we have square counters and we have round counters. Okay, so now we have 11 square counters are green. So there are 11 square counters that are green. So from the square, we have 11 are green and we have 15 that are not green. Of the round counters, the number that are not green is double the number that are green. So from the round, let's call this X, that is a green, so that 2X will be not green according to the question. Okay, so the number of counters that are not green is double, 2 times the number is green. So X, let's call X to be green, so that 2X will be not green. Okay, let's move on. Now what else? Here we have, by drawing a Venn diagram or otherwise, find the number of counters that are round. Okay, so let's see that are round. Obviously, it cannot be square and round at the same time. They have to be disjoint sets. So round will be what? If you have a look here, we know everything together will be 50. So let's add everything. So that'll be 11 plus 15 plus X plus 2X have to give you 50. So here we have 3X have to be 50 minus 11 minus 15, that should be 24. So X will be the value of 8. That are round will be 8 plus, so X plus 2X. So round will be 3X in total, right? So 3 times this 24. So this is 24. So now for part 2, that are round and green. So round and green will be 8. That are not green will be 15 plus 2 times 8 is 16, that should be 31. Okay, that will be part A of your question. Now let's move on to part B. Tina has 2 fair, normal 6-sided dice. So she has 2 dice. One is red and one is blue. Okay, she throws both of them once, just once. You may find it helpful to draw a possibility diagram to find the answer. So obviously, if I had some space, I think that is the best way of solving this kind of question is by drawing a possibility diagram. Okay. Now find as a fraction of its lowest term the chance that the red die shows a 2 and the blue die does not show a 2. So definitely advise to draw that. I would say let's draw it together because that is the best way of solving this question so that we do not make any mistakes. So let me draw this for you guys. So what are the possible outcomes of a dice? I know you guys have seen a dice before. The outcome will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 2 dice. One is red and one is blue. And the outcome will be, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The outcome here could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you can see here, we can have 1, 1. Here we can have 1. This is a lot to write. I hate that. That will be 2, 3, 4. That will be a 5 and 6. So these are the possible pairs of outcome when you throw your die. So the main question here is what? It is we have to find the fraction where, or the chance that the red die shows a 2 and the blue die does not show a 2. So pretty easy. If the red die shows a 2, it will be on this line. So that will be right. That will be 2, 2 here. That will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, as you can see, let me actually complete everything because it will be helpful for you guys. Let me do this. That will be this. These are the possible outcomes, right? This will be 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's continue. That will be 3 here. So here we have 3. And that will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here we have what? That should be 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. And the outcome here should be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So almost done. Just be patient, or you can just skip this part to where I finish drawing this one. That will be a 5 here. 5, 5, 5, 5 because of the outcome is 5. 5 everywhere. Here the outcome is 2. That'll be 2 everywhere. So 2 here. Here the outcome is 3. 3. Sorry, this is 3, this is 4. 5 and 6. Okay, and finally, here we go. This is the last set of outcomes that we have. That will be 6, 6, 6, 6, and 6. That will be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now let's move on to the question. The question is asking you, here the red die shows a 2, so the red die shows a 2, is right here. This is the 2 sides. And the blue die does not show a 2. The blue die does not show a 2, so the blue die shows a 2 here. So you will be everything else except this one. So you will be this one, this one, this one, this, and this. It is the red die shows a 2, but the blue die does not show a 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 over the total number of outcomes will be, if you count, we have 36. So the answer will be 5 over 36. Okay. Aha. So now again we have the sum of the two numbers is equal to 5. So again, if you have to draw this again, let's do this again. Why not? Because we are here to learn how to do this question. So again, we have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5 and 6. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we have to add them together because we care about the sum. So we have to add them together. So that will be 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here we have 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So these are the sum of the two outcomes. Now, it is asking you where the sum needs to be 5. So let's see where there are the 5s. So here we can see here we have a 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here. So we have only 5 or 4 possible outcomes over 36. Simplify, that should be 1 over 9. Check. 4 over 36, that will be 1 over 9. So your answer here will be 1 over 9. Now for part 3, one die shows a 3 and the other die shows an even number. So let's have a look. So let's use green for this one. So one die shows a 3. So here we have 3. and the other one shows an even number. So this is not okay. This is okay. One die shows a 3 and the other one shows an even number. Here you go. And this one. And what is the other one? It will be this one. One die shows a 3 and the other one shows an even number. This one, and this one. Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That will be 6 over 36, which is 1 over 6 as your answer. So again, you don't need to draw all this. The reason why we draw all this, just to make sure we understand how actually we process and find the values for each of the following answers. This is definitely helpful. If you guys have time, I would highly recommend you guys drawing these two tables to find the corresponding answers. I know it takes some time, but it is worth it. Okay, so that will be part B of your question. Now for part C, Anne went on a car journey that was split into 3 stages. Okay, now 2 relevant matrices are shown below. The first matrix shows the average speed in km per hour, so km per hour, of the car during each stage. The second matrix shows the time in hours taken for each stage. Okay, this is the speed for each stage. This is the time taken for each stage. So what is the equation connecting speed and time? As we know, speed is distance divided by time. If you were to multiply these two, so distance will be speed times time. That makes sense, right? We're trying to hint something for you to find. That's the main idea behind this. So part 1, as you can see here again, we are trying to make speed multiplied by time. So how would you find that? Again, it is rows by column. So 40 times 1.5 plus 30 times 1 plus 50 times 2.5. That will be 215. 215 will be the answer for this matrix multiplication. Again, how do you do this? It is rows by column. So rows means 40 times 1.5 plus 30 times 1 plus 50 times 2.5. So rows by column. So first times first plus this times this plus this times this. That will be the answer, 215. Now for part 2, what information is given by the matrix obtained in part 1? It gives you, as I explained here, distance will be speed times time, and give you the total distance traveled in 3 stages. Now for part 3, we have to find the average speed for the whole journey. So how do you find average speed? Pretty easy. Average speed is the total distance over total time taken. So total distance is 215. Now what is the total time taken for the journey? We have to add everything together. So 1.5 plus 1 plus 2.5, that should be 5, right? 5. So 215 divided by 5, that will be 43. Okay, so 43 will be the average speed for the whole journey, and that is your question number 5. Now let's move on to question number 6. Here we have Paul and Sam are 2 athletes who have training sessions together. On 80 sessions, so 80 sessions in total, during 2007, they ran the same route and the times were recorded. Now part 1, the cumulative frequency curve shows the distribution of Paul's time. So there's only one here, which is Paul's time. We have this cumulative frequency curve. Great. Now, we have to use the curve to estimate the median. So let's estimate the median. How do you find that? Pretty easy. When we are trying to find the median for a cumulative frequency curve, we have to use half times the number of measurements. Here we have is 80. As you can see, he ran 80 sessions, so times that. Let's see, what do we have? That will be half times 80. That will be 40th. So 40th value. So where is that? Let's have a look. So here we have to use the ruler as well, because we have to show how you use the graph to find that value. So on the 40th session, what is the average? What is the time that he had? So 40th session is here. That will be what value? Let's see. So that is, the whole thing here is, so 64, 65, the whole thing is 1. So that will be what? That should be 64.2, right? Because everything add up to, this is 64.5, so this will be 64.2. So the time here will be 64.2 minutes. Here we have to find the interquartile range, so pretty easy. That will be the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Now how would you find the upper quartile? That will be 3/4 times 80. That should be 60th element. And the lower quartile is 1/4 times 80. That should be the 20th element. So step by step, let's find those values as well. So first one is the 60th element. So 60th is right here, 60th section. That will be this one. The value shows to be 64.5. And the 20th will be right here. And the value shows to be, let's see, this value here is what? It is 63.6, right? So upper quartile is 64.5 minus 63.6. That should be 0.9. 0.9 minutes. That will be the range. Now question, how often Paul took more than 64 minutes? So let's have a look. Where's 64? 64 is right here. Connect these two. The reading here is what? It is 30. Right. So it means that for 30 sessions, he took 64 or less minutes. So if you want to find more than 64, it will be the rest, which is correspond to this much. Obviously, because we understand that only for 30 sessions, he was able to take 64 or less, which means in total we have 80 sessions. For the rest of the session, he will take 64 or more. The rest will be 80 minus 30. That should be 50 sessions. That will be 50. Okay, now let's move on to part B of the question. Sam's times have a lower quartile of this, and a median of this, and the upper quartile of this. So state which athlete was the more consistent runner. So pretty easy to find the more consistent, not the faster or the slower, but the more consistent. We have to look at the interquartile range because it measures the spread of the values or the variation of the values. This is, have a look for this one, 64 upper quartile minus the lower quartile for Sam's times. That will be what? 64 minus 62.5, that should be 1.5. As you can see, because the interquartile range of Sam is more than the interquartile range of Paul, because it is 1.5, and here we have 0.9, it proves that by comparing those two values, it proves that because the difference in times, it is more here, it is less here, it proves Paul has been the more consistent runner. That's the reason why. Okay, and that is part B of your question, and that is your question number 6. So now let's move on to question number 7. So we have A, B, C, D, E are 5 different shaped blocks of ice stored in a room. Now part A, at 11 p.m. on Monday, the cooling system failed and the blocks started to melt. Okay. Now at the end of each 24 hours, the volume decreased by 12%. Okay. So we have to find, so we have block A, the volume on Monday when it first failed, it is this much, initial volume. So we have to find its volume on Wednesday. So pretty easy. So Monday, the volume was 7,500. Now we have Tuesday and Wednesday. So we have 24 hours and 24 hours, which means we have to apply this 2 times, decrease by 12% and 12%. So pretty easy. What is the volume here? And what is the volume here? So the volume on Tuesday will be what? So there's 2 ways of doing this question, and I will be going with the easiest, I don't think it's the easiest, but it's the more efficient way. So the way to think about this is, on Monday, for example, we always consider the initial volume to be 100%. Now on Tuesday, obviously if you decrease by 12, that will be 88%. Now we know the volume was given to you by 7,500 on Monday. So if 100% is this much, what is this one? It will be just 88% is 0.88, because you have to know 88% is simply 88 divided by 100, that will be this, times the initial amount, that will give you this. So times 75, that will give you, Tuesday will be 6600. Now what is the volume of Wednesday? So volume of Wednesday, same steps, 0.88 multiplied by the volume on Tuesday now. So that will be 5808. So volume on Tuesday will be 5808. Again, this is just one of the methods to use to find that answer. Okay. Now for part 2, the block B has a volume of this on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, this is the volume on Tuesday. Now we have to find the volume on the previous day, on Monday. So we understand that on Monday it is the initial amount, which is 100%. It was decreased by 12%, which will be 88. So again, we will solve this by using ratio. So what do we know now? As you can see, we have realized that 88% is equal to 6490. So what is 1%? That will be 6490 divided by 88. Right. So here we're looking for Monday, which is 100%. That will be 6490 divided by 88 times 100. That will be 6490 divided by 88 times 100. That should be 7375. So your answer here will be 7375 centimeters cube for the volume on that previous day, Monday. Now for part 3, we have to show clearly on which day the volume of the block C was half its volume on this. So the decrease half means, let's say the volume was on Monday, we call it X. Now on some day here we don't know, the volume have to be half of Monday, which is half X. There needs to be a decrease of 50%, if that makes sense. Half is decrease of 50%. That's the main idea behind this. Again, we have to try step by step, see how can we do. For example, as I explained before, we always think of the initial amount to be 100%. Right. Now, if you were to decrease by 12% on the first day, Tuesday, that will be 88%. Right. Now, what is the percentage in relation to Monday? Will be on Wednesday. So we have to do, as we have seen here, 0.88 times the initial amount, 0.88 times the amount on Tuesday. So every time will be this. So 0.88 here times the initial amount, 0.88 here times the initial amount. So it is relative to the previous day, if that makes sense. So here, what is the percentage here? It will be 0.88 times 88, previous amount. That will be 77.44. But let's take it as this. Wednesday, Thursday times answer times 0.88. That should be 68 here. Friday, that will be 60. Saturday, 53. Sunday, that will be 46. As you can see, so basically from Monday, it will be going down by this percentage on every day. So as you can see here, we need it to be less than 50%. So minus 50%. It is between this and this. It is have to be past Saturday, so it will be on Sunday. That makes sense, because at 11 p.m. on Saturday, it was 53% of the initial amount. So we need it to be 50%. So as you can see, it is past. It needs to be somewhere from here till here. So have to be on Sunday. That is the most obvious estimation. Okay, that will be your answer for part 3. So let's move on to part B of your question. So the volume of the sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed, and the surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r squared. Okay, these are the given information. Now at 11 p.m. on Monday, the block D was a hemisphere. Hemisphere means half a sphere. The volume will be divided by 2, that will be this. Divided by 2, that should be this. Surface area. The radius here is 18. Okay, radius 18. Part 1 we have to find its volume, so pretty easy. Using this formula for hemisphere, that will be 2 over 3 pi r cubed. So 2 over 3 times 18 cubed times pi. That should be 12214.5. Now if you want to write correct to 3SF, that should be 12200. To write centimeters cube. Now for this one, the surface area, that will be 2 pi times r squared is 18 squared. That will be 2035.75. But again, if you want to write correct to 3SF, that should be 2040. That will be centimeters squared. That will be part 1 and 2 of your question. What else do we need to do? So I think maybe something is missing here. Let's think. Because for this one, it might be tricky here. Let me explain. What is the size, what is the shape of a hemisphere? It will be this one on top. And we also have to think about the area at the bottom. I'm missing this one. So we only have the top, but the area here I'm missing, which is the area of a circle. Plus, that will be what? That will be pi r squared. That needs to be pi r squared is pi r squared is 18 squared plus 2035.75. That should be 2362 point this, correct to 3SF, that should be 2360. So 23, we have to add something, add pi r squared again. That should be 2360 centimeters squared. Because when I use this formula, I was only able to find the area, the curved surface area on top. But I forgot the area at the bottom, so I have to add this as well to find this, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, let's move on to the part C. Now, as a block E melted, its shape was geometrically similar to its original shape. Okay, fair enough. It had a volume of 5,000 when its height was 12 centimeters. So now we know that the shape E, we have two. One is on Monday, let's call this before and after, right? Before the shape E, we had a volume of 5,000 when the height was 12. Now after, what happened? After E, find its height when its volume was this much. So volume now is 1080. Now we know something is that they are geometrically similar. So pretty easy. The idea behind this is what? Is we have to understand that, for example, if they are similar, the volume, the ratio of their volume, so let's call this E before, E after. It is given that the volume on this was 5,000. Here the volume was 1080. Let's try to simplify this. So if you do 1080 divided by 5,000, that will be what? That should be 125 to 27. That is the ratio of their volumes. Now, what is the ratio of their sides? Ratio of the sides will be what? Now we understand volume, the unit was centimeters cube. The side is centimeters. How would you change this to this? We have to apply cubic root. So obviously you have to apply cubic root on both sides. You will have 5 here, and here you will have 3. So the ratio of the sides is 5 to 3. So now we know the size of this one is 12. So we have to find this one. So pretty easy. By ratio, 5 is 12. 1 will be 12 divided by 5. So what is 3? 3 will be 12 divided by 5 times 3. That will be the side or the height. That should be, so 12 divided by 5 times 3. That should be 7.20 centimeters for the height of the shape E after it melted. And that will be part C of your question number 7. Correct to one decimal place for this equation, y equals to 4 over 5 times 2 power x. Now for these values of x, we have these corresponding values of y. Part 1, we have to find the value of p, so let's find the value of p. So the value of p is the value of y when x is equal to minus 2. So replace y will be 4 over 5 times 2 power minus 2. So 2 power minus 2 is what? This times 4 over 5, that should be 0.2. Okay, so this one will be 0.2. Value of p will be this, that is part 1 done. Now let's move on. Here we have to, using a scale of 2 centimeters for 1 unit, draw a horizontal axis for this domain. This is for the x-axis. Now using a scale of 2 for 2, that is 1 for 1, draw a vertical axis from 0 to 14. Again, I don't have a graph paper, so I'll just try to draw this on this page itself and see what happens. So here we have to try and draw the vertical axis. It needs to be from the values of 0 to 14. So let's see how can we kind of mark this. And then for this, for the horizontal, it needs to be from minus 2 to 4. Let's see how can we do this. It should be enough. Okay. So this is the x. This is the y-axis. Now, first thing first, it is from minus 2. So minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can start right here. And for the vertical will be from 0 to 14. So 0. Here I will put 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Again, the reason why I am doing this is because I don't have enough space to draw the graph. Usually, you will be given a piece of graph paper, a sheet of graph paper, and you have to follow the instruction here, 2 units for 1 and 2 for 2 on the axis that we have here. So again, on the graph paper, you will do this differently. But again, I'm trying my best to fit everything down in this page. Now we have to plot the points and draw a smooth curve. So first one I have minus 2. 0.2 should be somewhere over here. Minus 1, 0.4 should be somewhere over here. Then we have 0, 0.8 should be somewhere over here. 1, 1.6 somewhere over here. 2, 3.2 somewhere over here. And we have 2.5, 4.5 somewhere over here. Then we have 3, 6.4 somewhere over here. Then we have 3.5, 9.1, 3.5, 9.1 somewhere over here. Again, my graph will not be accurate, but it is the concept and the way that you guys how to do the question. This is what you guys are learning here. So plotting the points should be pretty easy. And the last point we have 4 and 12.8. So 4 is here. 12.8 should be somewhere over here. Should be 13, somewhere over here, approximately. So let me try to join all the points to form my graph. So that will be, you have to try your best, use a pencil to draw a smooth curve. Okay, so here we go, joining this with this, and that with that. Okay, that will be my curve, and label this as y equal to 4 over 5 times 2 power x. That will be part B of your question. Now, as the value of x decreases, what happens to the y? As you can see, when the value of x decreases, the value of y approaches down to 0. So y approaches 0. That's the, by observation from the graph, you can see as x decreases, y goes close to 0. Okay, that will be part C. Now for part D, by drawing a tangent, we have to find the gradient of the curve at this point. 3n 6.4. Where's that point? 3 6.4 will be this point here. So we have to draw a tangent to that point. Now a tangent is simply a line touching the curve at exactly that point. So try your best to make your line just touch that point right here. Then we have to find the gradient. So to find the gradient, we have to find 2 points on the line. So I can see one point will be here, and the other point could be, let's say I can kind of take this one. So of course mine will not be very accurate, but you get the idea of how we should do this. So this one will be what? Let's see, that should be approximately 1.6 and 0, and this one will be approximately, it seems to be this is 3 point, I'll give this a 3.7 approximately, and this is 10. So what is the gradient? We have 2 passing points. We can find the gradient by using your formula, right? So it will be y1, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 10 divided by 3.7 minus 1.6, that will be around 4.76 for the value of my gradient. Again, I don't think mine will be very accurate because of my graph was done on a sheet of paper. However, if you use the sheet of graph, you will find those 2 points accurately, and then you can find the gradient accurately as well. So it may be good, it may not be close, but the idea of doing the question is good. Now part E, we have part 1 here. On the axis used in part B, we have to draw the graph for y equal to 8 minus 2x. So again, this is a straight line, as we can see. We just have to find 2 passing points and join them by the straight line. So first we can have x is equal to 0, y will be 8. What if this is 0 and 8? Now when x is equal to 1, 0, that will be 8, that will be 6. So we have 2 passing points. Sorry, this is 1. 0, 8 and 1, 6. 0, 8 will be this one, and 1, 6 this one. So let's join these two to form our line. So this is the straight line, something like this. You of course have to label this as y is equal to 8 minus 2x from the question. Now for part 2, we have to write down the coordinates of the point where the line intersects the curve. We have to write down. So write down again, because on the graph usually you will have a point of intersection, which will definitely shows to be exactly where it is. According to what I can see, should be the point 2 and then 3.2. So write down, according to what I can see on my graph, it is 2 and 3.2. Now if you can see something else, you can always write that down, but on the graph it shows to be that value for me at least, the point of intersection. Now for part 3, the x value of this point can be satisfied by this equation. So find the value of b and a. Again, whenever we have to do this kind of question, point of intersection, we have to understand it is going to lead down to solving a simultaneous equation. That's the main idea behind this question. So this is my equation number 1, which is y equal to 8 minus 2x. I know it intersects my curve, which is y equal to 4 over 5 times 2 power x. Now we have to solve a simultaneous equation. So here we have y and here we have y. Replace. That will be 4 over 5 times 2 power x. As you can see here, we have to make 2 power x become subject. So let's do that. So 2 power x is equal to, we can multiply by 5 first. That will become 5 8 minus 2x, then divide by 4. That will be this. Now simplify. That will be what? So 5 times 8 divided by 4, that should be 10. Minus 5 times 2 divided by 4, 2.5. So 2 power x should be minus 2.5x plus 10. Now by comparison, we can see the value of a. So here we have ax plus b. By comparison, this is the value of a, and this is the value of b. So a will be minus 2.5 and b will be the value of 10. So I guess the main takeaway from this big question is we have to understand how to do those questions step by step. How do you draw a tangent? How do you find the gradient? How do you find those 2 points? And how do you find the point of intersection? So that's the main point of solving these kind of question, and that is your question number 8. Now let's move on to question number 9. The diagram shows the positions of H, L, and AB. H, L, AB. Great. Now we know that H, AB is a straight line. Also, those values are given to you. Right. Question part 1. We have to find the bearing of H from A. So, H from A. Now we understand that the bearing, we first have to draw the north line at the point A. So, what are we trying to find? Let me continue this so we can find something to help us. This is the north line. Now we're trying to find the bearing of H from A. So from A, we are trying to find this whole angle here. Right. Now we know this is 115. Now by looking at these two lines, we realize that this and this are the same. This is 42. Right. Now, if this is a straight line, this is 42, this will have to be what? Pretty easy. That will be 180 minus 42. That will be 138. Right, that will be 138. So what else do we need to find now? Oh, sorry, I'm missing something here. This is the angle we need to find. So from bearing will be this as well. So this whole thing. Okay, sorry. So to find the bearing value, which is the whole thing here, we take 360 because the whole thing is 360 minus 138. That will be 222. Bearing will be 222. That is part 1 of your question. Now for this one, the bearing of L from A, from the point A right here, of L, let's see what can we do. It will be this angle. We have to find the green angle, the bearing of L from A. So how would you find that angle? Let's observe and see what can we use. So now we can see that the whole thing here is 115. This is 42. So this obviously will be what? This will be 115 minus 42. That will be 73. Now the whole thing here have to be 180. So this will be remaining 180 minus 73. That should be 107. So your answer is 107 for the bearing of L from A. Okay, now let's move on to part B of your question. So we have to calculate HL. What is HL? So let's see. H going to L. So find this side. Now if you take out the triangle, we have this, 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 and this. This was given to you by 4.5. This is 2.8. And this was 115. So we can find this side by the cosine rule, obviously. Pretty easy. So that will be what? Let's see, let's call this x. So cosine of the angle 115 has to be 4.5 square plus 2.8 square minus x square over the value of 2 times 4.5 and 2.8. So let's see. Cos of 115 times 2 times 4.5 times 2.8. That should be minus 10.64998. So 4.5 square plus 2.8 square will be this value. So we can send this over here and this over here. So let me just first write this down. We have 28.09 minus x square. So x square will be what? 28.09 plus 10.64998. 4998. That will be 38.74. So x will be root of that. That will be 6.22. So correct to 3SF, the value of HL will be 6.22. Now for part 2, what is the area of a triangle HAL? What is triangle HAL? Will be HAL, pretty easy. We know the angle in between, we know these two, we can find the area by using our formula, which is half times sine of the angle in between times the two sides around the angle. So half times sine of 115 times 2.8 times 4.5. That is 5.71. So this is the area of the triangle. So 5.71. And of course we have to write down the units. km, this is km, that will be km square for the area. Now let's move on to part C. A boat sailed from the harbor along the line HAB. Okay, fair enough. Now part 1, calculate the shortest distance between the boat and the lighthouse. Okay, so we have to understand, whenever we are trying to find the shortest distance, it means the perpendicular distance. So the boat is going along the line HAB. From the lighthouse, what is the perpendicular distance? So we have to draw a line here which is perpendicular to the line HAB. Will be this line. So we have to find this distance. Let's call this the value of, let's call it the x again, why not? So observe, how can you find that value of x? So let's see, what can we use or what can we derive that will help us to find that value. Okay. This is only for 2 marks. It should be not too bad. Let's see, what can we use here to find that value. So we know the whole thing here is what? The whole thing here, HL, is 6.22, right? We have a right angle triangle. Do we know this angle? I think yes. So I think we should know the angle as well. So pretty easy. How can you find this angle? This is 115. What is the value of this one? This is 42. So let me continue here. For example, let's see if we can derive this easily or not. So this angle here will be the same as this one. This one is the same as this one. So 7.3, 7.3. This will have to be 7.3, but so this one is. So let's find this one first. This one is what? This one is the same as this one, which is, it will not be easy to find this one because this one is 73 and this have to be the rest, which is, let's use sine rule because I don't know how to find this directly. It seems to be confusing me as well, but let's use sine rule to find this angle, then we can find this one. Let's see what can happen here. Let me take it out first. I have the whole thing here, right? This is 90 and we have this side. Okay, so here we have H. Here we have a point, let's call this point Y. This is my point L. I'm trying to find this side. This is 90. I know the length of this one is given to you by 6.22. And my question is I need to find the value of this angle or this one so we can find the length of this one. So that we can use SOHCAHTOA to find the length of this one. So I believe there must be an easy way to find this, but it's just that, as you can see, my drawing here is so cramped. I don't know what I did here. I cannot even see properly what I can draw, what I cannot draw on this diagram. So let me take some time to see which one I can use to derive the angle here or the angle over here. So this is 115. This is 6.22. So I think I can just use sine rule to find this angle or this one, because why not? So let me find this one first. Let's call this alpha. Call this alpha. So as you can see here, we have 115. This is 6.22. So we can write 6.22 over sine of 115, and here we have the angle here, alpha we don't know, so sine of alpha, and this side is 2.8. So make sine of alpha become subject, that will become what? 6.22 divided by sine of 115, then we have 2.8 divided by answer, that should be 0.407. Alpha will be sine inverse of that should be 24.1. Now here you can see alpha will be the value of 24.1. Now since we have a right angle triangle, we can use SOHCAHTOA to find the length of this one. So here we have the h side, so h, and here we have the o side, we have to use sine. So sine of 24.1 has to be this side, we call this x before, right? X over the value of 6.22. So x will be what? Let's see. Sine of 24.1 times 6.22, that should be 2.54. So that will be 2.54 kilometers, sorry. Okay, so again, I guess we just had to use the other way. I could not derive the angle by using the bearing here, so I had to find the angle, calculate the angle by using the sine rule. As you can see, we were able to find the value of alpha by using the sine rule, and then using that in this triangle to find the value of the perpendicular distance between the boat and the lighthouse. Now part 3, the boat sailed at a constant speed of 3 meters per second. Okay, given that the boat reached A at 7:15, okay, find out at what time it left the harbor. Okay, so let's see. The harbor is here. We know distance HA is 4.5 given to you, so distance, it is 4.5 km, which is 1 to this meters, because we know 1 km is 1000 meters. Now the speed is 3 meters per second. So as we know, speed is distance over time. If you want to find time taken, that should be distance divided by speed. Distance is 4500 divided by speed is 3, that will be what? 4500 divided by 3, that should be 1500. So he will take 1500 seconds. Now let's convert. We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes, right? We know 1 minute is 60 seconds. So we can first divide by 60. So 1500 seconds divided by 60, that will give you what? 25 minutes. So he took 25 minutes to travel from H to A. So at the time 7:15, we have to minus 25 minutes. That will be 5 minus 5 is 0. That will be 6, and that will be 6 obviously. 6 minus 5 minus 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, and that will be 6. So he would have left the harbor at 6:50, so that when it takes 25 minutes, he would arrive at 0:15 at the point A. So the time he left will be 6:50. Okay, and that will be part 2 of your question, and that is your question number 9. So let's move on to question number 10. In the diagram, we have A, B, C, D is a rectangle. So A, B, C, D is a rectangle. Good to know. Now we have AB as 12, so AB is 12, BC is 8, and AP, BQ, CR, DS are X, 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 X. So what can we derive here? So pretty easy. We can try to derive a few length if you want to. This will be what? This will be 8 minus X. This will be 12 minus X, right? This will be 8 minus X. And this will be 12 minus X, obviously, as we have seen, because this whole thing is 12. This is X, that how will be this. Okay, so what else now? So part 1, we have to find an expression in terms of X for the length of QC. QC will be 8 minus x. And then for the area of triangle CRQ, where is CRQ? CRQ, so pretty easy. It is a right angle triangle. That will be half times base and times the vertical height. That should be 8x minus x squared over 2. That is part 2. Now for part B, we have to hence show the area in square centimeters of the quad PQRS. So PQRS is equal to this. So pretty easy. How would you find the area of this shape? You have to first find the area of the whole shape minus this, this, and this. So step. What is the area of the whole shape? As you can see, it is a rectangle. It will be length times width. 12 times 8, alright? So 12 times 8 will be the value of 96. Now, if you want to remove these areas, as we have seen, this is 8x minus x squared over 2 for this area. But also we see this is the same as this one. So this also will be 8x minus x squared over the value of 2. So now what is the sum of these two areas? So pretty easy. We add this one with this one. It will give you 8x minus x squared. We also have to minus this one, right? Because these two are also extra. So what is the area of this one? That will be half times the base times the height, which is x. Now we have to add this, it will give you 12x minus x squared. So finally, to find the area of this inside value or inside quad, we just take the whole thing, which is 96, minus the area of this one, also minus the area of the triangles. Let's see, what do we have? 96 minus 8x plus x squared, then minus 12x plus x squared. So that will simplify to what? So we have x squared plus x squared, that will be 2x squared, minus 8 minus 12, that should be minus 20x, and plus 96. And that is shown as required for part B of your question. Now let's move on to part C. So when the area of the quad is 60, we have to form an equation in x and show it simplifies to this one. So pretty easy. When the area, when this is equal to 60, so let's equate that. So when we have 2x squared minus 20x plus 96, when it is equate to 60, we have to simplify this equation to this. So send everything to one side. You will have 2x squared minus 20x. Now 96 minus 60 will be what? That will be plus 36. Then we can divide by 2. You will have x squared minus 10x plus 18 equal to 0. This is shown as required. So now we have to solve the equation, giving you answer to 2 decimal place. Because we know the answer will not be exact, you have to use the formula to solve this. X will be what? X will be minus b, that should be 10, plus minus b squared minus 10 squared minus 4 times a times c. That will be 28 divided by 2a, that should be 2. So 10 plus root 28 plus divided by 2, that should be 7.65, or 10 minus root of 28 divided by 2, that should be 2.35. So it can be this value or this one, correct, to 2 decimal place. Now for part 2, it is given that we have this equation. This is the area of PQRS is equal to this. Aha! So as you can see, we have to complete the squares, right? So find the value of k. Let's write this down. So how do you complete the squares? So one of the ways, I think, for O levels, which is the easiest for you guys, is to expand this one. Let's expand this. You will have 2 here. That will be x squared minus 10x plus 25 plus k. That will simplify to what? That will be 2x squared minus 20x plus 50 plus k. So by comparison, you can see that this is this, this is this, so this will be the value at the end. This will be same as 96, so we can equate 50 plus k is 96, so k will have to be 96 minus 50, that should be 46. So k will be 46. Now hence, write down the smallest possible area for quad this and the value of x at which it occurs. So pretty easy. Write down the smallest area will be the value at the end, which is k, 46, and the value of x at it occurs will be the value of x equal to 5. Because when if you did add math, if you do add math, you do realize that when we have a curve, this is a quad minimum curve, we will have a minimum point here at this value of x, and this x will be found the value inside when you equate that to 0. X minus 5 equate to 0 will be 5, so at x equal to 5, and the value will be the value at the end, which is equal to the value of 46. So when you say write down means should be very easy. We have the answer already. The smallest possible area will be the value at the end here. When you complete the squares, that'll be 46. And the value of x at which it occurs at the value inside, which is at the value of x minus 5 equate to 0. So x will be the value of 5. And that is your answer for part 2 of your question. And that is question number 10. So let's move on to question number 11. The diagram shows triangles A, B, C, and D. So A, B, C, and D. Okay, now part 1, we have to describe the transformation that maps A onto B. So A onto B. As you can see, A and B are of the same size. It seems to be a slide to B. In this case, obviously, we have to look at the different types of transformation we have. We have translation, we have rotation, reflection, and we have enlargement. So in this case, obviously, you have to be translation. It is a translation with column vector. So we have to find the column vector. So from this point became this point. So we had to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the left will be negative. And going up 1, 2, 3, that will be positive. So that is the translation with column vector minus 6, 3. That is part 1. Now part 2, we have to find the transformation that maps B onto C. So B going to C. As you can see, the size has changed, so obviously it will be a enlargement. So enlargement will be your answer. So for enlargement, we have a center, we also have a scale factor. So let's find the center. To find the center, we have to join the corresponding points. So this point became this point, right? This became this. And we know this became this, so let's join them together. Now where they meet will be the point or the center of enlargement. So as you can see, they meet right here. This is the center of enlargement, so minus 2, 1. Okay, and what else? So from here we have to find the scale factor as well. So the scale factor will be what? So from what you can see, at first it was, let's count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. It became 1, 2. So from 4 to become 2, we have to multiply by half. So the scale factor will be half. But now because the center of enlargement is in between the two, is between the object and the image, is right in between, we have to write negative half. That is part 2. Now for part 3, describe the transformation. We have C onto D. So from C going to D. So we had this one already. We had this one already. So it seems to be what? It cannot be a reflection. It will be a rotation. Now for rotation, we have to find the center of rotation. So how do you find the center? We have to first join the two corresponding points. So this join with this, and then draw the perpendicular bisector of the line joining the 2 points. It will be this one. And then what else? We have to join the other two corresponding points, which is this one and this one. Let's join them. And then we also have to, again, draw the perpendicular bisector that join these two. So these two should be somewhere over here, exactly between, somewhere over here. This is 90. And as you can see, the point of intersection of the two lines is this one. So that will be the center of rotation. That will be minus 1, 0. Now what is the angle of rotation? So for that we have to join one of the points to the center, and then we have to join its image to the center. As you can see, the angle here will have to be 90. And what is this direction? Obviously will be anti-clockwise. So 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So again, just to have a small review, for the angle of rotation you guys only learned about 90, 180 and 270. So obviously if we have to choose, it will be only from the list of these three values. And from what you can see here, since we have to move this to this and the angle seems to be less than 180, obviously it will have to be 90 degrees. Now this direction is obviously anti-clockwise. Now for part 4, we have to write down actually the matrix that represents the transformation that maps C onto A. So where's C? C onto A. As you can see, the size changed again, and because we have to write down the matrix here, so we just have to write it down according to the question. We already know the center have to be 0, 0, but that is not the main point. The main point to write down the matrix, we need to find the scale factor. So it was initially we had 1, 2, it became 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 2, it became 4, we had to multiply by 2. So the scale factor is 2 for now. However, since the center is between the object and the image, it will be minus 2. Now for enlargement, the matrix usually looks like this: K, 0, 0, K, where K is your scale factor. So your matrix will be what? Matrix will be K is minus 2, 0, 0, minus 2. Okay, that will be part 4 of your answer. Now for part B, in the diagram we have OT is 3P. So this whole thing here is 3P. If this is P, this will have to be 2P. And we have RS is 1/6 RT. This is RS and this is RT. Okay, fair enough. Now Q is the midpoint of PR. If this is Q, this will have to be Q as well, because Q is the midpoint. So part 1, express as simply as possible the value of OR. So from O going to R. So according to the question, it will be, or to the diagram will be O going to P, P going to R. O going to P is P, P going to R is 2Q. Now what else? RT, so R going to T. That will be first R going to O and O going to T. So R going to O will be negative O going to R because it is in the opposite direction. Then plus O going to T will be 3P. From this, that will be what? Minus P plus 2Q. So minus here, sorry, become minus. That will become 2P minus 2Q. That will be part B. Now for part C, QS. From Q going to S, pretty easy. From Q, first go to R and now going to S. So Q going to R will be Q plus RS. So RS, as you can see here, is 1/6. RT was found to be 2P time minus 2Q. So Q plus 1/3 P minus 1/3Q. That will be 2/3Q plus 1/3P. This is your value of QS. That will be 1/3P plus the value of, so here we have 1/3P, and let me write this down, plus the value of 2/3Q. Okay, that will be part C. Now we have to write down the value of the ratio of QS over OR. So QS was found to be this. Now if you want to simplify, we can take out 1 over 3 outside. You will have the value of P plus 2Q. So if you replace back in this fraction, on top you will have 1 over 3. That will be P plus 2Q. Now what is OR? OR was found to be P plus 2Q. Now these two obviously they will cancel out. So your value will be 1 over 3. That is part 2 of your question. And that is your question in relation to vectors, and that is your question number 11.